delivered management development and training programs that address critical behavioral and skill-based themes for professionals across various sectors, including government services, aviation, banking, defense, education, and technology. Our work emphasizes the development of emotional intelligence, stress management, and resilience in high-pressure environments. Dr. Farah employs a wide array of psychometric and behavioral assessment tools such as MBTI, TAT, POB, 16PF, EI inventory, and NLP to create interventions that are both scientifically robust and applicable to real-world challenges. Our consulting endeavors have supported Fortune 500 companies, public sector organizations, and innovative startups in navigating transformational and transitional change, improving cultural intelligence, fostering collaboration, and enhancing overall workplace well-being. Her expertise and contributions to the field have been recognized with prestigious accolades, including the 8th Sarojini Naidu International Award 2024 and honors from the Sahitya Academy, Government of India, for her excellence in writing in 2020 and 2021. As a respected author, columnist, and medical contributor, Dr. Farah's insights on mental health, psychological resilience, and organizational behavior have reached a global audience through renowned business publications and television appearances on platforms like CNBC, NewsX, and Kuwait National Television, KTV2. Dr. Farah Naqvi continues to bridge the gap between complex research and practical solutions, making a significant impact on mental health practices and workplace psychology worldwide. So here we have Dr. Farah Naqvi. It is indeed a great privilege for us to have you in our midst here. And I hope everybody is actually ready to derive maximum benefits from today's presentation, right? All right, so we shall be moving on to the next thing, and what we'll be having next is the presentation from Dr. Farah Naqvi, and we shall start soonest. Doctor, are you ready, ma?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, so you have the floor, ma. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm really glad to be here, and I look forward to sharing whatever insights I can during this time that we are here to share together. So I was given the topic wherein I want to remove this from the screen. 1 minute, sorry. This dialog box is not closing. Not able to close this dialog box, I don't know. Yeah, so here we begin. Actually, there was a dialog box that had opened and it wasn't closing. So sorry for the interruption. Yeah, so I was told that the topic for today's session, for which I can share some insights with you all, is about identifying, understanding, and managing our emotions. Because once we are able to do that, we are more empowered to cope with whatever comes in our life. So this is how I have planned the session. First, we will begin to understand as to what we mean when we are talking about emotions. So what do we basically mean? So if you see, emotions are, sorry about that. Yeah, emotions are nothing but they are basically chemicals that get released in response to the interpretation of a specific trigger. And if we see from where does this word emotion come, is basically it comes from the word called e-mover. So e-mover means something which is in motion. So emotion word comes from the word something that is in motion. So you can imagine like there's a pendulum, and in a pendulum, if you see there, sometimes it goes left and it sometimes it goes right when you move it. But in similarly, like in life, there are days when we feel happier, there are days when we feel sad. So there is a, this is what we called something emotions are something that is constantly in motion, and our idea is that how to live our lives such that we are more often in a state of equilibrium or balance. Like how in the pendulum, if you see that when it is in the center, it is in a state of equilibrium. So basically, if we look from a psychological perspective, emotions are these chemicals that get released in response to a trigger. For example, let us say I go to office and I have a very important file for which that I had given to entrusted to somebody that please take care of it because I have a meeting at 9 a.m. and I will need that file at 9 a.m. Now let us say the person doesn't come or is not ready with the file. So suddenly I get nervous that my material is not with me. I get a little upset about that. So that is the situation that acts like a trigger. And in response to that trigger now, the brain starts to produce those chemicals. We'll be talking about them in our later slides. So now what I will feel as this trigger will then create an emotion of feeling upset and angry or little kind of worry. Now, as I will try to integrate this emotion and soak in, so this is what we call feeling. Then I will start to feel this like I'm not feeling good, I'm not feeling ready about the meeting. So what has happened? So there was a trigger, there was a thought that happened, and then it led to generating of emotions. Then emotions start creating those chemicals. Then it generates certain feelings. And when we talk of moods, moods are something that are generalized. For example, let us say take the example of a mother. So, and let us say a mother of a child of special needs. So every day, let us say for 10 years, 12 years, she has been into caregiving of her child. And every day the child, let us say, suffer from meltdowns and everything. So over a period of time, let us say she's exhausted. So sometimes a small trigger and she same set of negative emotions and then feelings, and then she generally ends up being in a negative mood over a period of time. So mood are something which you can say are relatively more stable, they are long lasting, like but it all begins with a thought. So we'll again be talking about that. Here I was just giving a brief introduction with an example. So as you read in the slide, it says mood is heavily influenced by several factors like the environment, the lighting, that what we eat, how we exercise, how healthy we are. Like, let us say somebody is having a physical illness, that person is more likely to be upset emotionally also. And let us say somebody who's healthier, who eats well, who sleeps on time, the environment at his home is good. So, generally, his moods will be more happier. So, this was a basic understanding. You are free to note down any questions that you have, and we will address them in the end. So there was this psychologist called Robert Plutchik, who, if you see, created this wheel of emotions. We generally are aware of very basic emotions, and many times in my classes, when I ask people to write a list of emotion words, so they end up writing maximum 4, 5, 6, or 10 words like happy, sad, angry, frustrated, whatever. But when we refer to the wheel of emotions, I'm using this as a reference point because in this, what they have done is they have elegantly simplified and organized different states of mind and emotions that come from broad basic emotions, like as you see on here. There's joy, sadness, anger versus fear, trust and disgust, surprise and anticipation. But beyond this, when you add emotions together, so they create a new set of emotions. So sometimes when we are not able to have a good emotional vocabulary, we are not able to identify what exactly I'm feeling. For example, I said this morning I was feeling literally very anxious, but anxious is just one aspect. What was making me feel anxious? It was something related to work, something related to home, and or is it anxious, or it is worry, or it is sadness that is tricking me, maybe, or is it grief that I lost somebody in my family? So there are a variety of emotions, and it is advised that we develop our emotional vocabulary, learn to correctly label what exactly I'm feeling. Because sometimes it is so happen, like let us say there is this lady who recently lost her father due to grief. So now 1 year has passed to her father's death, and now society expects to move on because father was old. Everybody has to die one day, so the practical world expects her to move on and be normal and happy like before. But inside, she's still carrying the grief because she was deeply attached to her father. Now, what happens is now she's having her mood swings, or let us say she's upset about something, and she says that I am becoming like this. Most of the time I am upset, most of the time I am angry. I don't know what is, so I don't feel like doing anything. So but she has, it is important that we label what exactly is the emotion that we are feeling deep inside that is leading to other set of emotions then affecting our moods and all. So wheel of emotions, I took it as a reference point here because that advises us or acts as a reference point that okay, please develop your emotional vocabulary. Try to figure out what exactly makes you feel a certain emotion. Somebody is on unmute, I guess. So if you have any questions, you are free to unmute. But if there are no questions, we can keep ourselves on mute. Okay. Now, let's reflect on our current state of well-being. So, you have these 8 statements on the slide, and you can read them. For example, do you have difficulty being able to relax? Do you struggle to keep up with the demands? Do you have lost motivation or feel you're falling behind in whatever projects you are taking up in life, be it related to work or home? Do you feel distracted, irritated, short-tempered? Do you have difficulty in falling or staying asleep? Do you have to use sleeping aids to cope with, or relaxation medicines or something to help yourself fall asleep? Are you worried about your past or your current or about how your future will shape up? Have you been sick? So these are 8 statements, and I took this from a university resource that says if you have answered yes to 3 or more of these, then you might be experiencing a high level of stress. That indicates that we definitely, all of us are experiencing different kind of situations in our life, both positive and negative. So if you have answered yes to more than three of these statements, that tells me negative emotions are weighing down on you, and before they try to overwhelm you or you're not able to cope, it's time that you identify them and address them. So this was a quick check on our well-being status. Now, this slide is an extension of that. For example, many times sleep is an indicator of health. When we are not processing our emotions accurately, or we are not able to cope with our emotions, so it so happens it starts affecting our sleep. For example, so you can ask yourself, how well did you slept last night? Did you, or over weeks or over days, past 3 days, do you wake up feeling refreshed? Or when you wake up, you're still feeling fatigued and tired? Many times the reason could not be stress or ill management of emotions. It could be some health reason also. So you know your individual scenario better. But this is a question you can ask to yourself. Another is you can take a check of your mind, like how is your mood generally over these days? Like, is there something which is weighing on your mind? For example, for somebody may say that not a day goes by and when I feel irrationally angry, or I end up reacting on my child and then I regret it. uh, I'm angry over something else, I take it down on somebody else. So, but or you have the response like, yes, I get triggered at times, but I'm able to manage it off and I don't take it off. I'm able to regulate myself. Whatever emotions I have, I also have this regulation ability within me. Still, I'm able to cope with it. So everybody's situation might be different to it. But it's important to ask these questions to yourself: how well you're been sleeping, how is your mood generally, is there something weighing on your mind? It could be anything related to your worries about the future or your thoughts about the present. Is something in the present which is not as per your desire or up to your satisfaction, or maybe you have some past trauma or something which keeps coming back and reflecting badly, negatively on your present. So you have to figure out if there is something which is weighing your mind. So where does it come from, and what can I do about it? So here is this graph. If you say, this is a very famous curve, which is called Yerkes-Dodson Lobel curve. So it says like performance here is, you can, when I'm talking about this graph, so you can assume that we are talking about performance with respect to any aspect of our work objectives that we are trying to achieve. It could be parenting, it could be, these are the goals, your goals related to parenting, your goals related to work. We are all constantly performing different roles, right? And then you have this part, this axis is talking about a state of arousal. So it says that having a little stress is okay. For example, if you're moderately stressed or little stressed, it acts like in fact, it's called eustress because it has a positive impact on us. It helps to increase attention and focus, and we do well on the given job. Okay, but let us say whatever challenges are, if it goes beyond a certain limit, so if you see this point, such that our arousal level has weakened. Like, for example, I took the example of that mother who is facing parenting difficulties because of a special needs child. Now, let us say she doesn't have the right support system to support her. She's managing it all by herself and she gets overwhelmed. And now it's been 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So the allostatic load has been constantly increasing on her. Now it's all, let's say 10 years. So now we can say she has reached this state of kind of arousal or extreme negative states of emotions and moods, which she's not able to cope. Then it starts reflecting in the form of things like anxiety, panic disorders, and all. So chronic stress, then it has its sets of consequences. So it is important that whenever we encounter any negative emotion in our life, with respect to any aspect of our lives, home or work or whatever, it is important that we address that. Before we reach this state, we get overwhelmed and then land in mental health problems. Like many times, people are facing problems and they don't seek out for help at the right time. And when they reach out, they have already started manifesting symptoms related to anxiety, depression, and all those things. So, having a quick check on yourself, understanding what I am feeling, why I'm feeling that, what makes me this way, and trying to address as early as possible is always the right way to go about. Okay, now understanding how poorly managed emotions affect our well-being. So here I have taken a little scientific and neuroscientific perspective to just briefly, I'm not going to overcomplicate this. I'll just try to explain it very simple. For example, as you see, this is the image of human brain, and it says that here they have taken the example of kitchen fire. Somebody was sitting and working, let us say at home, and suddenly there is some fire in the kitchen. So immediately, what happens? This activates the hypothalamus, which is the brain command center that pushes you towards action. Now, this acts like an alarm, which tells the body that there is something, there's a distressful situation, and then it turns off our sympathetic nervous system. Now, what the sympathetic nervous system does is it starts releasing hormones because the distress hormones, in situations of distress, what happens? Two hormones very commonly get secreted. There are more also, but I'm not going into the finer aspect. Broadly, I'm talking about these two hormones. One is adrenaline. What it does, it immediately raises our blood sugar and also our blood pressure. It tenses the muscle. Why it does so? For example, so that the person can push himself to action and do whatever it can to cope with the situation. Next, another hormone that gets secreted is called the cortisol. Now, what it does, it increases our appetite, it increases fat storage, but it has a very negative effect on our immune system. Because a weak immune system means more diseases. Strong immune system means more ability to cope or fight with the diseases, like whatever seasonal or general diseases they are there. Now, let us say a person is in a state of negative emotions, experiencing negative emotions over a long period of time. So, what happens is most of the time, this person sympathetic nervous system is switched on. That keeps the person in a fight versus flight mode. That means whether I have to fight with this situation or I have to fly away from this situation. Again, coming back to that example, you can think of examples to your life also. For of that woman who says that she's done, she's exhausted taking care of, let us say, a special needs kid. She has no me time. She has nothing. She has sacrificed on many aspects of her own life or her own desires because she's tired of taking care. And so and she's always scared also about what will happen when she's not there, who will take care of her child, what will become of him or her. So if you see, she has been consistently, she has been in a state of stress. Now this means she is operating most of the time from this particular nervous system. Now this keeps her always in a fight versus flight mode. Now if she right time support systems are not extended to her, then because of elevated levels of cortisol and elevated levels of this over a long period of time, what will happen? It will start manifesting in the form of serious health problems like cancer, heart disease, depression, anxiety, and all those things. Is everyone with me? Can I hear a quick yes?
Yes, we are with you, ma.
Okay.
You're following, ma.
Okay. So now enough of understanding the neuroscientific aspects and what exactly we mean by emotions and everything. Now we move on to, okay, now we understand that we need to manage our emotions, and especially negative emotions. We need to know how to regulate and cope with them. Now comes, how do we do that? So for that, I have taken here one model. This model is of emotional intelligence, taken from Goldman's book, who has widely written on this topic. So this model says that it has four quadrants to it. If you see, first quadrants talk about self-awareness, the second talks about social awareness, the third talks about self-management, and last talks about relationship management. So it says emotional intelligence. We need to consistently work on enhancing our emotional intelligence so that whatever life throws on us, we are better positioned to cope with it or deal with it. Now, how do we enhance our emotional intelligence? It requires that we work on all these four aspects. Now, what is this self-awareness aspect? Is first of all, if you go back to the wheel of emotions I was talking about, we are able to assess what we are feeling. So this is about self-awareness, understanding our own emotions. Second is about social awareness. This is more about related to empathy. Empathy as in what the people around me are feeling and how better I can respond to them. Because let us say you don't understand what's going on with your family members or your colleagues, then what you will do is your reactions will be unwise and that will further complicate the situation, isn't it? So it's important to have an element of self-awareness as well as social awareness. Next is self-management, and this is about the ability to regulate your emotions, manage your emotions. And third is relationship management, which is how we manage our relationships with ourselves and others. So this was just a model I took as an anchor. In today's session, I have been asked to focus on this. So I'll be talking more about self and the managing the emotions. Okay, so let's move on. So how does emotional self-awareness help us? So number one, you know what you're feeling. Are you feeling joy? Are you optimism? Are you feeling aggression inside you? Are you annoyed? Are you whatever your emotions are? So emotional self-awareness is about understanding what you are feeling, and not only this, why you are feeling. If you are hurting, why are you hurting? And you are able to, when you're able to sense that, you will be better able to help yourself. So the benefit is that you are able to detect whatever is stirring inside your inner world. And once you're more conscious of that, the first step will be being conscious of that. Second step will be you will be able to learn how not to react with that but respond to that. So you are able to, let us say, discern between shades of feeling. Are you sad? Are you hurt? Or are you embarrassed? What exactly are you feeling and what makes you feel that day? Okay. Then it keeps you attuned to internal signals as they arise. Then you interpret and respond with informed choice. You avoid emotional ambitions and instinctive reactions. Let us say going back to the previous slide, we were talking about this model. Now, again, going back to the one example, I'm sticking to one example so that we are in a flow and we are able to understand better, keeping one situation in mind. Now, let us say that woman example who was having parenting difficulties. Now, she is utterly frustrated, angry about how her life has coped up. And because whenever anybody decides to become a parent or something, they have obviously a positive goal associated with that, that they will enjoy their parenting or something. But let us say it happened opposite, just the opposite with this woman, because her child happened to be a caregiver, special needs child, and because of that, with experience. So she has both set of experience. Some days are immensely beautiful because these kids are very uniquely gifted and they give you very pure form of love. So definitely she has her wow days, her beautiful days, but the sacrifices that she had to make with respect to herself has also led to certain frustrations in her. But if she's aware what makes her frustrated, let us say she had to compromise on her career. Let us say she sometimes feels she had more support and she doesn't have, so she's not able to take a break and is getting overwhelmed. When she understands what she is feeling, why she is feeling, so let us say even in an angry moment when she feels like shouting back on her child or something, she will not do that, because with the development of empathy, she will know that a child is not behaving in this manner to kind of annoy her, but because the child is like that, because the child's brain is wired like that. So, the understanding of the child's situation will bring empathy, understanding of her own situation will help her seek out help in the right direction. What can I do to solve this? Okay, I love what I do. I love my child. I love raising my child. I receive so much love, acceptance, and I give back, reflect back the same to my child. But what can I do so that I don't get kind of drained out or overly exhausted? Maybe I need to ask my mother or my husband or my sister, whoever is there around me, to maybe spend 2 hours, so that in these 2 hours I can go and do this, whatever she wants to do. And empathy, knowledge of the understanding of the other person here, which is her child. Okay, why is my child behaving in this manner? What makes him having a seeking? She will try to understand the root cause of the behavior of her child. And once she knows that the child is not doing anything on purpose, but is doing because he or himself is facing certain difficulties or is different in a certain way, that empathy will change her reaction to response. She will not get kind of reactive, but rather she will respond more wisely. So it is important that we all have good emotional self-awareness about ourselves, and also we have an element of empathy towards others. Try to understand. Then only we will be able to go to the third quadrant, which was about self-regulation. Now, here is one anecdote which I put because I really liked it. So it says there was a monk who was slowly walking along a road when he hears the sound of a horse. He turns around to see a man riding a horse and he asks him, "Where are you going?" To which the man who was riding the horse, he replies, "I don't know, ask the horse," and rides away. So the horse, if you the man who is riding the horse, he doesn't know where he's going and he simply goes riding off. The horse here in the story represents our subconscious mind, which runs on past conditioning. If you don't cope with your negative emotions, for example, then your mind gets conditioned. Let us say, which you are talking about, negative emotion. Let us say you say that that person is always angry. That person is always in a state of kind of depressed and sad and or we say, oh, that person has such good vibes. Whenever I meet him, he or she makes me feel happy. What has happened? Our mind, whatever emotions we tend more to give more attention to, our subconscious mind starts supporting that like a computer program. And if you're not self-aware, you become like the person in this horse. You keep on getting carried away by the dominant emotion of your life. So the subconscious mind runs on past conditioning. How you are conditioning your mind. It is, are you conditioning it with gratitude, with what you have, or are you conditioning it with regrets and anger? So whatever you will put your attention to, and that your mind will get conditioned to that. And if you're not self-aware, then you will not be able to look at your life objectively and respond. You will become a victim of your own life. So it says your emotions are not you, but they can gain control over you if you do not reflect upon them. The only way to tame a subconscious reaction is to bring the light of consciousness to it. What does this mean? If you want to tame your mind to be positive, happy, giving, grateful, then you need to reflect on your mind in terms of whatever you have been feeling and address so that your emotions guide you, empower you, and you don't get controlled by them. Okay, so how do we do that? So here I have put certain how to develop emotional self-awareness. So if you see this particular infographic talks about two kind of emotions. One is high frequency emotions and the low frequency emotions. The high frequency emotions are like presence, love, inspiration, gratitude, basically positive emotions. And the low frequency emotions are like despair, sadness, guilt, envy, fear, anxiety, anger. All the negative emotions are low frequency emotions. And remember, when I began the session, I said emotions have come from the word immovere, which means something which is in motion. Now, this last point says emotions as energy in motion. So there are certain emotions that expand our energy, which are our high frequency emotions, positive emotions that you will be able to maximize on your energy field positively. And there are certain emotions that contract your energy, they drain you. These are the low frequency or negative emotions. So what we can do, we have to be attentive to take care of our emotions. What is the emotion I'm feeling right now? You can ask yourself at this very moment while you are attending this the session, what emotion are you feeling right now? Maybe it could be nothing, or you're feeling neutral, or maybe something is running at the back of your head. So whatever emotion you're feeling, what happened that make me feel this way? Does this emotion help me solve my problem, or it makes the problem even worse? So we have to take a moment and take a deep breath and then calm ourselves down. Let us say somebody could be feeling grateful right now. Somebody could be in a state of despair, because something is pending, he or she is not able to attend that, or maybe he or she is facing certain problems on which are beyond his or her control. So all these things we need to identify. What am I feeling? What happened that made me feel this way? Is it helping me solve this problem, or it is making my problem even worse? Okay. Now, this is a very important slide that I would like to, and that can be very helpful. And just a minute, I'll put the. It says that everything begins with a thought. Thought as in, it says that our life, whatever lives we are living, each of one of us, everything begins with the thought. For example, we've experienced a thought, we give attention to that thought, it creates a certain emotion, and that emotion then leads to creation of certain feelings, and that feelings then create our moods, and then it affects our attitude and everything. So it all begins with a thought. If the situation may, whatever situation a person or trigger you can be there, how do I look at it? What is the thought that I sow in my mind? That will affect the kind of emotions the brain will start creating, and that will affect what we feel. And over a period of time, these thoughts, same kind of thoughts and feelings will start affecting our attitudes. And then it starts affecting our beliefs system. And then it affects our perception. And then affects how we look at our lives. And that's how it starts. Perceptual reality moves to actual reality. For example, going back to that same example, let us say the mother thinks that I'm blessed to have this child. This child is teaching me so many virtues. It is bringing me near to God. It is teaching me patience. It is teaching me how to have faith in Allah. So this, let us say this is her thought in that situation. So what kind of feelings that is generate? Emotions of gratitude. So the feeling will be more of positivity. Now, over a period of time, if she has these kind of thoughts and feelings, so her attitude towards dealing with that situation in life, raising her child, taking care of herself, she will be able to do that because her attitude will be positive. Over a time, she may develop beliefs like Allah has taught me sabr, Allah has taught me patience, I have learned so much on my journey, whatever beliefs. And so maybe her iman, her faith will increase. And that will eventually shape how she looks around in her life. It could be the reverse also. This child is a curse. This child has stolen away all the joys of my life. My whole day goes around looking after him. What am I getting into? What will happen? So worry, tension, stress, all those things will start. These thoughts will create these kind of emotions and feelings. She keeps nurturing same set of thought feelings, and then that will start affecting her attitude. Overall, she will have a negative attitude towards herself, her child, her life. Then it will affect her belief system, how she sees the world around herself, and actually her perceptual reality, what she's perceiving, will start shaping her actual reality. Is everyone with me here? Shall I move?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, whenever you're faced with whatever situation in my life, I will encourage you to please use these principles of Socratic questioning. You know, Socrates, the philosopher, was famous for one thing, and that one thing was that he used to help drive a thought home to a person by asking questions. He would go on asking questions, and the person would understand what he eventually was trying, the idea that he was trying to push, or the point that he was trying to make. So, whatever situations you are in, or there is a thought in your mind, pay attention at the first level only, because your thought will then create the emotion. It will then make you feel a certain way. If you keep this loop on, then it will affect your attitude, that will affect your state of being, that will affect how you perceive the world, how you perceive yourself, and then that will actually start shaping your reality. So, where you have to pay attention at this very first step. Okay. Now, clarify how do you engage in Socratic questioning. So, uh, you have to clarify your thinking, explain the origins of your ideas. Why do I think this? What exactly do I think? How do I know this is true? What if I thought just the opposite? So you have to look for evidence and ask, why do I think whatever I'm thinking, is it actually correct? What else could be what could be the other perspective to the same situation? How do I know I'm correct? So you examine. Let us say I think negatively. What is the consequence I'm getting? Nothing. It will make only the matter worse. So you have, whenever you're encountering any situation in your life, engage in or whatever emotion you are experiencing. I'm talking, since we are talking about emotions and regulation of emotions. So generally, when positive emotions don't require regulation, they just require to be experienced, to be enjoyed, to be lived. When we talk about managing emotions, most of the time we are talking about regulating the difficult emotions that arise within each one of us as we encounter the challenges of life. So, whenever such an emotion is, let us say, a worry or a anger or whatever the emotion, the low frequency emotions that we just discussed arise, please go back and think what thought had occurred in my mind that led to these, make me feeling this way. And then engage in these kind of Socratic questioning. And then consider alternative perspective. What can I think? How can I correct my thought process so that I don't end up shaping a negative or a bad reality for myself? Now, looking from the perspective of another neuroscience perspective, one of my favorite areas that I love to talk about is narrative identity. So I got in one slide from there for all of you. So it says that, the human mind is always functions in the default mode of thinking is the narrative mode. That means if I ask you, tell me something about yourself, you will start telling me, oh, I was born in this place. Let us say you're from Nigeria. I was born in this town of Nigeria. I lived with my brother and sister and my mother and father. My mother was like this. I wanted to do this. Now I am doing this. I want to do this. So how you will introduce yourself when you will tell me about yourself? I will get to know a story of this person, right? So our default mode of thinking is storytelling mode. So when we think in this way, or now what happens is the brain has two aspects activated to it: the listener's brain and the teller's brain. And so it greatly impacts the kind of story we tell. Whatever life stage you are in, whether you are 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60, you have lived a certain part and you have a story to tell about yourself. If you tell redemptive stories, positive stories, hopeful story about your life, yeah, this happened bad in my life, but I am hopeful that this will get better, then accordingly it will affect your emotions. If you tell contaminated stories, negative stories, like, then you will accordingly generate similar emotions. So many times there's an example that is taken, like two kids were thrown in a swimming pool by the trainer or the coach so that they learn swimming. Now what happens is, one of the coach is little tough kind of coach, so he pushes both the kids. One kid develops the fear out of it because he tells the story to himself. The coach was very mean. The coach was very hard on me. The coach didn't allow me the space or the training, and then he directly pushed me in the pool. The other, and he recalls this his life as a negative experience. The other child recalls the same experience. That day I was so scared, but the coach just let me in the pool and then I could battle with my fears, and today I can swim. So same situation, but people tell different stories. So when we tell our life story in a positive way, like, this is, I was a kid, I was growing up in this nice environment, then I got this disease and then it took over my life and then my life went down the drain, or I got this disease and I got a chance to be more resilient. So basically, the story you tell will affect the emotions you generate, and it will affect the how your perceptual reality, how you perceive the world, and your actual reality from the life that is still coming ahead or is lying in front of you. So I thought I will get one slide. This narrative identity also. Yeah, so basically, when psychologists talk about self, they say it is like looking yourself at a barber shop. When you go to the barber shop for a haircut, so what do you see? You are looking at the image in the mirror, and at the same time, the image mirror is looking back at you. So this is a metaphor which is trying to say that within each of us, self has two aspects. One is the experiencing self, and the other is the remembered self, the one that we have lived and the one which we are experiencing right now. Now, to explain that, we can see this statement. Consider the statement, I see Harry. So the self is implicated by the use of personal pronoun. I am doing the same. Now, you are one person, Harry is other person. Now, if you say I see me, so what the person who is seeing is you, and the person you are looking at is also you, right? So this is the concept which says that only humans have been gifted this capacity to kind of look back at themselves, to recognize this duality. So this was this person, famous researcher, William James. He was one of the first psychologists to recognize this duality. And the term I is used to refer to that aspect of self that is actively perceiving right now. And the me refers to the self that is an object that we can make an object of our attention, thought, or perception. So it's important that if we have been gifted or endowed with this ability, we engage sometimes in reflective mode and assess our emotions. Now there's a activity which I want you to do, where I ask you to please write, take a pen or a paper, or maybe if you don't have pen and paper with you right now, maybe your phone, open the notes folder and write simple answers to the question, who am I? Okay. How do I pause the slideshow? Yes. So I give you maybe, I think 10 minutes will be enough for this. 10 minutes is enough for this?
All right, ma.
Okay. So it is 1:53 on my desktop. So exactly after 10 minutes, I'll come back to you. I'm here. I request that all of you write on a sheet of paper simple statements to the answer, who am I? Okay?
Okay, ma.
Sacheni ile into asto peshele oni tengeze uma farm ya Kuwait. She's a professor of clinical psychology.
Please, can you mute your mic?
Hi, guys.
Sholaja, Ola, please, can you mute your mic?
Uh,
If you all are done before, then you can start again.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Are we to start saying it?
Okay, so anybody would like to share what they have written?
Yes, I would like to share.
Okay, please go ahead.
All right, Christina. My name is Farah Naqvi. So the question is, who am I? I am Raihan, cheerful, easygoing, quick-tempered, explorative on new skills, diligent, sometimes lazy. I enjoy watching movies to relax myself after a hard day's work. I also love food and is creative with it when I'm available to demonstrate my cooking skills. I am easily misunderstood by people due to my poor communication skills, and I love nasheed. So this one gets tough.
Okay, very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Your answers reflect that you think about, reflect upon yourself.
Thank you,
Yes,
ma'am.
anybody else would like to share? Okay, so since I think nobody else is sharing right now, so I'll move ahead with the session. So yes, okay. Somebody said, yes, please, go ahead.
So my name is Rukayat. So I'm an ambivert. I'm an easily going person. And I have a lot of thoughts in my head, which most times they are not always true. So I can be cheerful if I want to be, and depending on my mood. But generally, I'm a good person. I'm a good friend. I'm loyal, I'm honest, and I love people around me thriving, and I love to thrive too. I am result oriented, and I love to assist, especially in the background. But I'm easily bored. I'm easily bored. I don't like routine. I don't like a strict system. It doesn't always agree with me. I'm a kind of spontaneous person. When the energy comes, you do it. When there's no energy, just look at that.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, my mood switches easily, and I to calm my mood most times. I love to listen to the Quran, and to do things that at least that will make me happy. That's if I can, if I can calm myself to that level of actually thinking about what is really the cause of the mood issue and all of that. So
Mhm.
that's it.
Okay. I see that your answers reflect that you have described yourself, and also you have talked about an understanding based on what you feel about yourself, how you try to deal yourself with the emotions that you experience. And when you talk about how you try to calm yourself, why I did this exercise with all of you is that this is a very old but very well tested test, which is called Who Am I, a projective instrument that we use in psychology. And I will ask you to ask this question to yourself, that if you had done the same test maybe 10 years back, then what will your answers would have been? And if you are doing it today, what your answers would have been? For example, when I was myself a psychology student pursuing my master's, so it was my teacher who had asked us to do this test. And I remember that time, I barely had much to write about myself. I said, my name is Farah Naqvi. I like this. I love reading. I like going out. I love my family. I love playing badminton. Whatever the simple points that I had written about myself. Now, if I do the same test, maybe 20 years, 10 years down the line, if I am asked to do the same test, my answers will be totally different, isn't it? So, what happens, the idea that I'm trying to push you home is that whatever you are thinking about yourself or feeling about yourself right now, remember that it is not permanent. You are self is a concept in psychology that states that we are continuously evolving. What we were yesterday, what we are today, and what we will become, that is a journey and that keeps on evolving. So, this test often helps us to take a check on how we perceive ourselves, whether we are perceive and how much, to what extent do we understand our inner world. So, this helps to take a look at it. Now, the dimensions, everybody is able to see my screen. I have clicked the share button, right? Yeah. So the dimensions that get scored in this is, we do this not only with individual setting, we also run this test in corporate settings when we do it with a group of employees or a large number of people. So this test generally scores on these 15 dimensions, which are right in front of you, as you see. I will explain each of these dimensions, and those of you who have shared your answers and those of you who have written but didn't get a chance to share, you may look whether your answers have these aspects, and if they are missing, then also it is okay, but it will only give you a chance to explore, okay, maybe I need to spend some more time in digging out facts and bringing clarity about how I am perceiving things within me and around me. So, yeah. These are the dimensions that get coded. First is called the superordinate goal orientation, which means whether the person has this tendency or concern for a larger goal For example, here could be, I want to serve my country, I want to serve humanity, I want to fulfill the will of God. For example, the lady who contacted me for this session, I think Ms. Basirat, and she mentioned that she creates these kind of session and programs, and the objective of her is to spread awareness, spread knowledge, bring empowerment and people. So if you see that, I don't know whether she has done this test today or not, but her personality is clearly reflecting this particular aspect. I want to serve. Maybe she's trying to serve the people around, doing good for the humanity. So this is one aspect in ourselves. Then another is concern for personal excellence. For what do you want to become? Like, do your answers reflect, I want to be a great doctor, I want to be a good teacher, I want to be a very caring or a understanding mother, I want to be a good daughter. It could be anywhere based on whatever life stages you are in. So do you have this desire to excel, or for desire for concern for personal excellence? So you can see whether your answers reflect this or not. Next is concern for influence. That means whether your statements indicate the need to wish or change certain things or people. For example, the society or culture where I live, let us say, it has having certain evils which only do harm. So whether I have the desire, inclination to try to improve it, take the lead, take the initiative. So if you have your answers that have such kind of points, then that indicates you are a person who has a strong desire or concern for influence to bring positive change around. Then concern for family, that shows the need to do something for your parents, brother, sister, or any other member of your family. For example, I want to help my father in his old age, I'm worried about my brother, whatever it could be. I'm just scrolling through these just to give you an idea of this test that we did. Then concern for others in society. Does your statements indicate concern for other people and society at large? For example, I want to donate my eyes after my death so that somebody can see. I want to do something for whatever misfortunes are happening around the world. So does your actions reflect, or do you have this kind of concern within you? Then awareness of personal strength, very important when we are talking about that emotional intelligence model. Remember Goldman's model? So it had 4 quadrants. So the first quadrant was self-awareness. Many times I meet so many women, I find them so talented, but they lack the confidence because they don't know that they are that having that strength or talent. So do you have an awareness of your personal strength? Let us say you are a very good communicator, let us say you are a very empathic person, or let us say you are very good in a given subject or a field or a domain. So are you aware of that? So this is also reflects a degree of awareness of our personal strengths and awareness of our personal weaknesses also. For example, let us say I'm short tempered, then how does it impact people around me? If I am aware that I lose my temper easily, then I will start working on the strategies or maybe methods to deal with this kind of weakness in me. So it's important to be aware of our personal strengths, awareness of our personal weaknesses, because they directly impact the emotions we feel for ourselves and how we make those around us feel. Then awareness of achievement. This includes statement including past achievement. For example, I scored very high marks in examination. I won prizes in debates and elocutions. When you keep a score of your achievements, they boost your confidence. They also help you build your next goals in life. So whether you are doing that. Next is concern for self-development. This indicates the need and desire to do something for your growth and development. For example, I want to be a better person, a more calm person. I want to improve my communication skills. It could be anything individual specific. So, does your answers reflect concern for self development areas you can further work upon? Then is internal locus of control. Internal locus of control is a concept in psychology where it shows there are two types of people. One is the internal locus of control, the one who believe ki, okay, let us say there is one student who fails in the exam and says, I failed because I didn't prepare well. So we'll say this student has internal locus of control. There could be another student who says, I failed because the paper was very tough. The destiny was not in my favor. So that we say people having external locus of control. So what kind of orientation you have. You can ask yourself whenever any situation or the incident happens to you. So what do you do? Do you think that it has happened because of your own reasons, or it is because luck, destiny, and all those things? Sometimes things happen to us because of destiny, but there are many times things happen because of our shortcomings, and if we work upon them, then we can improve on it. So this is one aspect to look into. Proactive orientation. Proactive, I guess all of us know the meaning of the word. Like means indicates that before the problem arises, we think proactively and take steps ahead in advance to understand the situation, analyze the situation, whatever problem situations we might be facing. For example, I met each of the persons involved in the conflict to understand the course of the conflict and accordingly decide on what remedial measures can be taken. Next is resource utilization. It shows desire and tendency to make use of whatever you have. I joined, that means, okay, having a wish is one thing, but acting upon it is another thing. Do you utilize the resources that you have around me? I want to be a good communicator, but what are you doing about it? Have you joined some classes? Have you taken any initiatives for that? Have you consulted somebody who can help you doing that? So whether to what extent we are mobilizing the resources. Then self-discipline is like the person is working hard, shows self-discipline. So all these aspects. Then comes planning orientation. That means shows how a person is making plans or taking steps. For example, I'm learning accountancy so that my business grows, I can manage it properly. And future orientation refers to people who plan about the future, indicating future plans and concerns, as in I'll start a new business as soon as I'm relieved of my, for example, somebody is going about to retire, is turning 60 and will retire. So when he is 58, that time only he starts making plans about how he will plan his savings so that he's not dependent on anybody, some pension plans or something, or what alternative career he can take after his retirement, maybe, or a service or a job. So this indicate the tendency that this person has a lot of future orientation. The idea to discuss these points are like when we do the who am I test, many times there are different aspects to ourselves, and we score the people answer in a psychological test to what extent these were present in the answer. Presence of all these, analyzing these tells us a lot about the person and help the person learn a lot about himself also. Like, okay, get a view, a picture of his inner world, outer world, and also help him guide on what next he can do to it. And the most important takeaway of the who am I test is that I want you to remember is whatever you are thinking about yourself or feeling about yourself, remember, if you had done this 10 years back, done the same test 10 years back, your answers would have been different. So if you would do the same test maybe 10 years later, and if you learn by now the ability to regulate yourself, your life, your emotions, your answers will again be different 10 years later, isn't it? So it's important that you understand and appreciate the fact that self is continuously evolving. So when we do this test, in a group setting, we calculate the scores, and then we use it in human resource management and organization development and also in individual counseling, because these scores tell us where our responses lie and also gives us a lot of feedback about the group. Let us say there could be a group of 4 people working on a project, and they're all very high in this first particular aspect, superordinate goals. That means this team will always, a team with 4 people, all high in this dimension, will definitely try to create something that goes beyond earning profits and also renders community service. So when creating teams, many times we identify the responses and we create teams accordingly of the, okay, based on the project need, we align people for people's personality with the project so as to get better. So that is one use in HR. But at individual level also, it helps us to give a view about ourselves. Now, the question why it is so much important to think about ourselves, understand ourselves, our inner world, our emotions and everything. So for that, I have put forward a parable for you, which is that I really have used it earlier also in many of my training programs because it helps me to drive one message home. So if you read this parable, there were 6 men in a village who went to observe an elephant, and it was their first time. All of them were blind. So one of them said, "It's a pillar," the man who was touching the elephant's leg. "No, it's a rope," said the other blind person who was touching the tail. That way, the blind men began to argue. Everyone believed he was right. After observing the elephant, the rest thought that it was either a snake, a spear, a hand fan. Maybe the one blind person who touched the ear of the elephant felt that it was a hand fan or a branch. So a wise man who was passing by calmly explained, "You are all right. Everyone noticed something different because each of you touched a different part. The elephant has all the features that you all said." Sometimes our reality is like the elephant in this Indian parable. Everyone observes parts of it. That's why others can sometimes see aspect of ourselves that you are yourself missing. Now, what we see that clouds our judgment, and what we don't see bias our behavior. So that's why, if you go back to the who am I test that I just did with you all, it is very important to have a view about ourselves, to look at ourselves. Have when I was talking about knowing your personal strengths and also knowing our weaknesses, because when we know, we are able to take the right action forward. And what we see clouds our judgment, and what we don't see, sometimes we have shortcomings that we don't see, but others can see in us. And that's how self is, isn't it? So, moving forward, what I'm trying to say is many times what the human being is best at is interpreting new information so that prior conclusions remain intact. What does this mean is, like, let us say you have formed a view about something. I realized I haven't switched on my video this time. Is this bothering anybody, or you want me to turn on? Okay, I'll turn on. Maybe. So, what the human, I would have appreciated if everybody's video was on and the session was more interactive. But anyhow, I'll go on. So it says, what the human being is best at doing is interpreting all new information so that the past information, for example, let us say there is a person who has very negative opinion about society A, that people, or a country A, that people who from country A are not good, and they are backward in their thought and their thinking. They are not progressive. They have bad customs. They have, let us say, he has all the negative view he has been conditioned to. Now, whenever any information that comes around to him related to that, so what happens is he tries to filter, his brain filters all that information that contradicts his belief, and he keeps the information that matches his belief. So what we see clouds our judgment that way, and what we don't see bias our behavior. So it is important to get a perspective from ourselves, from others, and that leads us to a very interesting model which is called the Johari window. Has anybody heard of this before?
Yes, ma'am.
You
No.
have heard? Okay. Okay, so I'll explain it. It says that you can see the self like a window with these 4 selves, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now it says the self has 4 parts to ourself. For example, the first is called the open self, the second is called the blind self, the third is called the concealed self, and the last is called the unknown self. I'll explain briefly. Generally, when we talk about Johari window, I do workshops, 2, 3, 4 hours workshop only on this slide. So what we do in those slides is we pair people in groups who know each other, and we run that activity, and that is very enlightening for them in terms of getting feedback on themselves. I will share it with you so that you can take it as a takeaway home, and you can do it with somebody whom you know and who knows you back. So that way you can do this activity. So let's go to it. Open self. This is that part of ourself that I also know and you also know. For example, when my camera is on, you can see how I look, how I speak, how I wear glasses, how what kind of voice I have. So this is parts about me that I am also seeing and you are also seeing about me. That is called the open self. Now, there is part about me which you are able to see, but I am not able to see. That is called the blind self. For example, you may notice certain thing about me as I'm giving this lecture, which I don't know about myself. And later on, you can say, ma'am, I noticed that when you talk, you are using this word more. Or, ma'am, I noticed that you look more like this, or you talk more like this. Maybe any aspect, because this is online, so you have limited observation. So, based on whatever. So, blind self is those aspects which you can see about me, but I cannot see about myself. So, here, feedback giving and receiving helps. Then comes the concealed self and the unknown self. So, concealed self is those aspects about me which I know and I have chosen not to share with you. For example, let us say there is a person who's having a traumatic past or some deeply disturbing fact related to his or her life, and he may choose to conceal it. Conceal means hiding, and he may choose not to share with anybody unless he or she feels that part of ourself is concealed self. So the person knows, but others don't know. And then there is a part of us which nobody knows. I also don't know about myself, and you also don't know about me. So I hope this diagram is clear. Now, why I discuss this Johari window with all of you is that whenever you are free and you are with your friends or your colleagues or your family members, you can explain this model to them and you can do this activity where you ask each other to write parts of, let us say, or share feedback. For example, this is how I see myself, my open self, like whatever characteristics you may like to give yourself. Can you tell me things about myself that beyond this, like you can see in me, but I'm not able to see? And then maybe somebody will say, don't you know you speak so well? Don't you know you are so good in this? Do you know you are so reactive sometimes? You will get different pieces of feedback based on whom you're approaching: your mother, your sister, your brother, your friends, your colleagues. So you can go about doing this activity. It is up to you to discuss this concealed self or not. For example, if it's you think you are holding back something in your deep dark layers of your unconscious mind, some dark thing related to yourself or your past, but that you cannot share, don't share. But if it affects you, then maybe you can write it on a paper and journal about it, so that you gradually and slowly and steadily you are able to heal yourself from it. So when we do this kind of activity, what happens is, when we regularly engage in giving and receiving feedback, when you ask, you can also do the same for your friend or sibling or whatever. You can do the same activity with him by giving him feedback. So the activity is mutually beneficial, and what happens is this window becomes bigger. So open self will keep on becoming bigger and bigger in. And what is the benefit of expanding your open self is that you will have more awareness about yourself, your emotions, your feeling, your attitude, your likes, your dislikes, your desires, your goals, your objectives in life. And accordingly, the more awareness will empower you to accordingly take steps for your life. Okay, so there is another small activity. I think it will take barely 5 minutes. In this, what I want you to do is that you can look at yourself, and if you have it says photograph, but I know not everybody may be ready with a photograph. If you have a recent photograph of yourself, maybe if you are having in your phones or in your anywhere, you can open a photograph of your own self and list down the adjectives that come to your mind. Don't engage in reading all those things. Just do this small one line. Look at your photograph and list down the adjectives that come to your mind. Adjectives, as you all know, is something that is used to describe a word. For example, I pick a red road and I say, this red rose is beautiful. So beautiful becomes the adjective. So now let us say you have to, looking at your own photograph, if you have to list down the adjectives that come to your mind. And you can write, like looking at your photograph, you can say kind, knowledgeable, beautiful, whatever adjectives you want, you can write. I'm not saying you necessarily have to write positive. You can write both positive and negatives. So we'll do this activity for 5 minutes. Hello.
Okay.
Okay. So take 5 minutes and do this activity. Then we'll move on with the session. If there are any questions, you can leave in chat. I keep checking that. Yes, anybody who's done and would like to share the list?
Everyone, good afternoon. Actually, I don't have much to share because the photo is a happy one, and I was quite chubby in the photo because I usually work a lot, and in the photo my cheeks were a bit chubby, and I was actually happy being around my little princess. So I don't have much to say as regards to what I'm looking at the screen now. Thank you.
Okay, okay, nice. Yes, anybody else would like to share the adjective? Just the keywords, maybe you can share. The words you have given to yourself. Labels.
Hello, ma.
Yes.
Hello, ma.
Yes, Musa, go ahead.
So the first one is that I don't have a picture, but I have a picture of myself in my head. So that I'm amazing and I'm still evolving due to past events. Then some say I'm a snob, which I'm not. That I'm selfish, which I'm not. Then looking at me overall, you feel I don't have any life problems and that I'm thriving. Then from my partner, I'm beautiful, I'm amazing,
Okay.
and very open. That's
Your voices stopped coming. Okay, I'll take from here. Thank you so much for sharing. The activity was about let me take you through an example. If you ask a child who is 3 or 4 years old, and you show a picture of him, maybe a little smaller than that, and a picture of him as a baby picture, the child will and ask him, "Who do you think it is?" Right. The child will say, "It's a baby. It's a baby." For example, so what I'm trying to say here is that when we are born, then we don't have any labels attached to ourselves. We haven't given by others, or that we give to ourselves. So we are, for example, so the child, when they sees the picture, a small baby, it says, you say, "Who is this?" Say, "It's a baby." But as we grow up, as we get labels from the people around us, our parent may say, "Oh, you are so beautiful. You are do all your work on time." And the teachers may say, "Oh, she's very disciplined." The siblings may say, "She's naughty." Friends may say she's selfish. Somebody may, so good and bad. We keep on getting feedback from the world around us about ourselves. Somebody may say, "Oh, she's so ugly," good and bad, because we have all kinds of people around us. And then as we grow up, we keep on getting these feedback from people around us wherever we are living. And there are labels that we receive, and some are maybe true to us, some are not true to us. So, but we get internalize it. For example, a child, when he or she joins a school, maybe he joins in the middle of the session, he doesn't have any friends, and his friends end up telling him that, "Oh, you're so weak, you don't have any strength, and you are so you look how I can put it, don't have any strength, you can't even play cricket," let us say. So that is the label he gets from some of his, let's say, classmates. And then that child internalizes those things and grows up thinking that he is weak on physical strength. He doesn't get a chance to test himself, and that's how he starts. A girl may be told by somebody, "Oh, she looks so ordinary," or "She doesn't look beautiful," or something. That may be inaccurate, because beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, as we all know. But the child, that little girl child, starts thinking or perceiving herself as very ordinary, and even though she may be pretty good enough, but she internalized that label. So the idea of doing this activity is that when you look at your photographs, so what adjectives you put to yourself. These are some that you may have received while growing up, and you continue to receive in your present life. Some may be true to yourself, and some may not be true to yourself, because we have all kinds of people around us. Their feedback may not be accurate. So if you have any labels given by others, or that you have given to yourself, that makes you uncomfortable, that brings in a sense of tension, then it is important that you look at it and drop it, so that it doesn't continue to harm you. So this is inspired from humanistic psychology, that says that people have two types of self. One is the real self and the ideal self. We all have some ideal self in our minds, like, "I wish I could speak like that. I wish I could be like so and so person. I wish I look this way, I walk this way, I talk this way, I am achieve so many qualifications or degrees in my mind," whatever. So people have an idea of ideal self in their mind. Then they have a picture of real self. Then they check where they actually are. And if there is a lot of discrepancy or gap between what they wish to be and what they actually are, it leads to a lot of cognitive dissonance and stress. So to make peace with ourselves, we need to assess what are the picture of my ideal self that I have in mind, and what can I do to to minimize this discrepancy. For example, somebody wishes to be a singer, let us say, singer, and then he sings, "I want to sing like that," but what? But his actual, maybe he doesn't have that inborn talent or voice to be a singer, and he hasn't been told. So there is a gap between real self and ideal self, and that gap creates confusion, creates disturbance in him. So it's important to assess this and work towards this. This picture is just on the funny side of it, where this man has this ideal picture in mind, and this is how he actually looks, and that discrepancy obviously brings tension in him. So it says that if a person wants to live a fulfilling life, Rogerian was the person, we must have heard of this person called Carl Rogers. I'm talking about his model only right now. He says when a person's ideal self and actual experience are consistent or similar, then a state of congruence exists, which brings peace. Rarely, if a total state of incongruence exists, people experience a lot of dissatisfaction with their lives, with themselves, and they start building negative emotions in them, and they pass it around to the people around them. So it's important to look at this perspective also, because the purpose of life is, one of the purpose as Muslims is to be close to God, to do act all the actions which we say khudbatan ilallah, that help us get near to our creator, and also to live fully functioning lives, that which requires that the person focuses in the here and now and is able to experience life fully, and that can only happen. Somebody is driving, it seems, and I can hear a lot of sounds. Can you please mute? The name is Sholaja or something. You have, by mistake, you have unmuted yourself. Yeah. Okay. So why we need to do this? Because fully functioning people realize that they are flexible, they are ever evolving, their self-concept is not fixed, they are in touch with their emotions, and they make conscious effort to grow as a person, to achieve the fullest potential. And one of the purpose in life is to do this, isn't it? So because then only we will be able to experience a sense of inner freedom, satisfaction, and happiness in life. So for heightened emotional awareness, there are things that we can do, and this will take you back to my second or third slide. That be mindful, distinguish yourself by figuring out what your values, what your belief, your truths are, apart from people opinions. If you are moving around with a wrong label or adjective that was given to you 10 years back, please reassess them. So figure out your values, your beliefs, your truths. Number two, be mindful of your this chain. Keep this chain always ready in your mind. Actually, I also use this in my life, and it is really helpful. Whenever you feel triggered in a situation, any negative emotion is trying to capture you, remember this chain. Thought will lead to emotions. We talked about the neurochemical part. If you refer back to our earlier slides, this will make you feeling certain way, then it will start shaping your attitudes, then how you feel, then your perceptual reality, and then your actual reality. So if you want your reality to be beautiful, to be peaceful, to be full of calm and purpose, so whenever you feel triggered, please remember this chain and check yourself at the first level also, at the level of your thought. Next is connect with yourself to help in staying, because this will help you stay in conversation with yourself in new ways, what you want to be. You can do this by becoming an observer of your own life. Remember the model I talked about, that we as human beings, we are distinct because we have this power to look back at our own selves. The I and the me slide I'm talking about, the experiencing self versus the remembered self, the barber shop example that I had given them. So connect with yourself. And do this. Then begin by making choices for your life instead of looking for others to make decisions for you and then feeling unhappy about it. And see challenges as a way to know yourself. When you are faced with any difficult situations, creating turbulent emotions, try to see them as opportunities for you to decide who you are and what you are capable of. There is one line, ayat, which is some of my ayats from Quran. This is not a part of the session, but I have personally used in my life, so I'm sharing with all of you. Quran has given me some very beautiful ayats that have helped me in coping with my difficult times of life. So what I did was I wrote down my favorite ayats. For example, there is one ayat, I think it's La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha, which means that Allah doesn't burden a soul beyond what he or she can bear. That gives me a lot of confidence that if there is a bad situation, I also have the strength to cope with it or deal with it. Another is Iyaka na'budu, Iyaka nasta'in, which means you alone we worship and you alone we ask for help. So make that your anchor, make Allah your anchor, and see the challenges as a way to know yourself. There are many others, and if you want to nurture gratitude, we are going with any difficult emotions in your life. So gratitude is one emotion that immediately cancels all the negative emotions. And each one of us, how bad our situation may be, we have something to be grateful for, right? We are our brain is working, our body is intact, we are having food on our plate, we have somebody to love us back. Small things you can count to be grateful. So for this, I draw upon this ayat from Surah Rahman, which says, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. To what, how can you ever thank God for all the blessings that He has given you? So whenever you're feeling low, start counting on your blessings and see challenges as a way to know yourself. This was not a part of the session, but somehow it came to my mind to share some of my favorite ayats with you, so I have shared. And when I say uncover your blind spots via feedback, I am referring to the Johari window that I had shared with all of you. So you can take that window with you, discuss it with people you trust. Please approach the right people in your family, in your circle, in your friends, and share and give and receive feedback to enhance your understanding of yourself. So this was, I think my time is already up. It's already 2:45. I'll close the session. I had some activities for mindfulness. Maybe I will share one or two with you, and then I'll close the session. So this is about managing emotions. Mindfulness comes in very handy. Okay, so how it helps to reduce thought rumination. Rumination means when we keep thinking about a negative thought over and over again. It helps to lower stress, anxiety, boosts our memory, strengthen focus, reduce depression. Now, what is mindfulness? It is very simply put, non-judgmental awareness and acceptance of everything as it is. So, at this very moment, whatever is going on in your mind, number one, you are aware of it. Number two, you accept everything as it is, including it will be thoughts, feelings, sensations. And this you have to make an habit to how do you bring that? Your mind, when it is troubled, will always take you, either drag you to the past. Past me what happened with me that was so unfair. You will keep on replaying that, and it will wire your subconscious mind to become like that. So or it will take you to future. Oh my God, what will happen in future? How will things turn out? So mindfulness, how it helps you, it brings you into the present now, neither in the past so that you don't ruminate, nor in the future so that you don't get into anxious worrying. So how you can do that? There are two simple exercises I will share with you. First is, whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, you can sit and this I've taken from Thich Nhat Hanh books, which is called Peace in Every Step. Inhale and exhale. So bring your focus from everywhere else to your breath. The idea is as simple as that. So maybe while inhaling, you say calming, and when you exhale, you let out a smile. Present moment, wonderful moment. Idea is whatever to drag your mind away from the past, drag your mind away from the future, and immediately bring it to the present moment as you think, as you focus on your breath. Another breathing, which is very famous, this I have developed by Dr. Whale from University of Arizona. It is, you can do it sitting or lying down. Here, what you have to do is you have to breathe in to a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 7, and then release it for a count of 8. What it does, remember we were talking about the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So this immediately takes you away from the flight and fight mode and calms you down. And it is a very scientifically tested, wonderful technique. So what you have to do is you can place the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth and push out all the air that was there in your lungs as of now. Breathe through your nose till maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to say it aloud. Hold it for 7 seconds and then leave out with a whoosh sound from your mouth for 8 seconds. You can do it regularly. It barely takes maybe 2 minutes in a day. And when you do it regularly, it will gradually strengthen your nervous system. So whenever you are in a situation of anxiety or panic, let us say, so you can immediately use this to calm yourself down. So that's all from my end. There is one mindful walking also where it says that, for example, you go out in the park or any other near the sand or the beach, take off your shoes, walk mindfully, feel everything, the mud in your feet, the sound of the breeze, and everything. So just align yourself, what you're feeling, and don't walk with a purpose or in a hurry. So as you practice that, for example, if you cannot go out and you're at your home and you're used to wearing slippers, so maybe take off the shoes, walk barefoot, few mindful steps, feel the temperature of the ground, the temperature of your feet, feel everything, absorb the moment. So this is called mindful walk. This also what it will do, it will immediately help you to center yourself. The idea is to collect the scattered pieces of yourself and center you in the present moment, so that you don't worry about what happened in the past, keep on replaying that, and that is not going to serve you any better. And so that you don't worry about it. So rather you come back to the present and live it with gratitude. Here are some videos which is there. You can see them on TED Talk. This is by William Sparks, The Power of Self-Awareness. And this is also another resource that I felt I could share. And these are some few free apps that one can download on their phones or whatever device, iPads, whatever you use. These are completely free, but they help you greatly in centering your mind when what I was talking about mindfulness, and will help you manage your emotions better to gain awareness, insight, connection, purpose, and be calm and relaxed. So you can take a screenshot of this and save it and maybe download and try if you wish to. If you are not the one who likes to use apps, for example, I don't like to use apps personally. So you can use these 4-7-8 breath, aligning your breath, and all these activities, mindful walking. Just remember, try to center yourself, try to be in a state of mindfulness which is nothing but non-judgmental awareness and acceptance, because then only you will learn to shape your life positively ahead. That's all from my side. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you may ask or you may leave in the chat. I will answer.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. We really appreciate your insightful presentation. Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan. So in order to make everything organized, those of us that have questions, I would want us to kindly raise our hands so that we would have the questions attended to in the next few minutes. So, and if after the presentation we have a question, so we can always drop the questions in the group such that our presenter, Dr. Farah, would respond to the questions duly. So if you have questions, please let's raise our hand so that it will be organized. So we can drop them in the chat section so that we'll round off in the next 7 minutes, inshallah. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Farah Naqvi. We really appreciate your time and your insightful presentation. Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome. And if anybody is taking away any thoughts from this presentation and is feeling stuck or is having any problems or would like to reach out, then feel free. You can connect with me and you can leave a message to me. I will leave my email to the organizer who was in touch with me on WhatsApp, or you can connect with me on my professional account. I keep writing articles around these themes. My account is there on LinkedIn by the name of Dr. Farah Naqvi. And if you have anything that bothers you or troubles you, or would you like to ask, or you may like to read the articles which can be helpful to you, so you are free to reach out. And all the best wishes to all of you. Thank you so much. So I'll leave the meeting.
All right. Thank you very much, Ma. All right, so I think we can always drop our questions in the group, because I guess the lecturer is no longer present now. So we can drop the questions we have in the group such that we'll get response to the questions later on. May Allah make it easy for each and every of us. So inshallah, we shall be drawing the curtains for today's program and we'll meet again tomorrow, inshallah. May Allah makes it better understood than it was presented. So let's have a nice day. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.